So listen now, guys, with the Kings of the Streets, you get like a set purse. If you bite something off, you get a bonus. Listen, that ain't it. You know, if you swallow it, you get double bubble butt.
That ain't normal, is it?
Honest to God. So if you bit someone's ear or their nose off or their eyelid and swallow it, they can't have it back to sew on, you get a bonus.
Some man, they wanna chat shit till I knock 'em out like I'm Jack Shaw. Rolls hat, rolls back, my flow sharp like a hacksaw.
Right, we're back, guys. Episode 4. Another familiar face. Actually, our most viewed guest on the podcast, and that includes Joe Calzaghe, Flex Lewis.
Fighting legend.
We're back with Sean The Outlaw George, the man who put BKB in Wales on the map, without a doubt, most experienced.
The pioneer, really, innit?
Yeah,
no one else done it.
Guys.
The very first, the most established, and the most experienced Welsh BKB fighter. Obviously, we finished the last podcast, Sean, 2 years ago now.
Yeah,
coming up.
You missed it as well, for me, and I'm not just saying today, the toughest.
Yeah.
BKB fighter you're going to meet.
Yeah.
You know, I've known Sean since he was a kid.
Yes.
And there's not a tougher man walks the planet. And I said this on our podcast last week about it, but so
yeah, so we finished off the last one. You had just had your operation on your eye. You've been told that unfortunately your fighting days were over.
Yeah.
Let's kind of
just rewind a little bit on that, Sean. So talk about what happened.
Yeah. Let's pick up where we left off. Can just give them a rerun.
So yeah, when I come up last time, I'd already had one operation. Obviously that didn't work, so I was booked in then for another operation. Like, you know, so I had the retina redetached it. Like, obviously with the retina. The more fluid gets behind the retina, the more it detaches, it gets down to the optic nerve, and then it's lights out then. See, it's irreversible, like, you know.
Can I ask you, did it get detached in a fight, or was it like progressive?
No, it was training, it was. I fought Scott McHugh, my 22nd bare knuckle fight. I was getting ready for the rematch, sparring in the morning. If I was to put my finger on it, it was a boy from Swansea. Like, he come up in the morning, ego took over, I dropped my hands, and I just walking through him, and I, like, you know, that's my problem. See, Shake, I've always been too tough for my own good, like, you know. And, the following weeks after that, I just knew something was wrong in my eye, like, you know, and one day I just went like out with my hand, and I could see my wrist and all that, like, and I just couldn't see my fingers wiggling. And then I went like out with that hand, and I could see it, and I said to the wife, like, you know, go like that, can you see your hand? And she's like, yeah. And so I kept on and on about it. We went to Butlins and all that. So all I done was complain about my eye. I was on the slides and all that, swimming, and I just knew something was wrong with my eye.
Was it painful back, or just
no? It was just I just knew something wrong with the vision, like, yeah. So obviously, she booked me into the opticians then. It was a Friday evening, it was. They looked in my eye, told me I had a detached retina. They said, don't worry, it can be repaired. Like I said to you just now, in the back of my mind, I always had the Bisping story. Like, you know, obviously, I was familiar with the Bisping story. I can relate to it now. So from the opticians then Friday evening, they referred me straight to the Royal Gwent Newport, where they confirmed I had a detached retina. And then 6 o'clock the next morning, I'm having emergency surgery on my eye, like, you know. So obviously, they went inside the eye. That carries massive risks alone. And that's when I come up here on the podcast, wasn't it? After the second operation, then I had a posture. I had to lie on my left hand side in bed for 7 days. I did without moving, and that was fucking challenging. Let me tell you. Yeah. Like I said, I was looking in my phone, people's past experiences, the recovery, thinking about everything I built so hard to get, you know, my house, my job, and all that. Like, you know, and I just had a massive panic attack. I suffered from anxiety and all that. So anyway, after that, then I went back for another checkup, and then they told me then I had like a membrane grow on the retina, scar tissue, like you just mentioned. And they said I have to have another operation then, because anything I looked at that was straight, like a door frame she pointed at, was like wavy, like wonky. You know,
like, Jack remember this, and his mother felt it. I was in work a couple of years ago, and I was walking down a corridor, and the frames were waving, and I got put back in then, and I had the 3D scans, and it was due to the scar tissue on my retina. So
obviously I was booked back in there for a third operation, where they went inside my eye, and they had to try and peel the membrane away in one, like, you know, and obviously they went well, like, you know, no complications, and they sent me on my way then, like, but yeah, it was my fighting days over. But
is sight all right with it now?
Yeah, it's fine. I get a bit of double vision. I was never blind. I wasn't. I was looking through that gas bubble. That was mental. But they put like a gas bubble in your eye. So the back of your eye, the retina, is like a thin piece of tissue. They said it's like a bit of cling film. What they done, they laser surgery it, and then they put like a gas bubble in your eye then. So where I was posturing, laid on my left hand side for 7 days, the gravity was pushing the bubble against the retina. So that was lucky that worked, like, you know. But yeah, a couple of weeks after that, me went back to the gym because I didn't want to quit. But I
was gonna actually bring this up because I can remember you having the op. I remember you put on your story.
I went back to the gym. I did, silly enough, like, you know, because like ever since. But I've been suffering like mentally, physically, financially, because fighting was like, it was like my release. Like one day, you know, I've always suffered over the years. I ain't afraid to say this, but you know, mental health and all that. You know, I've back in the day shaky, but I've had highs and lows. So like the fighting was sort of like a self-harm mechanism for me. Like, you know, I'd love going through camp and all the preparation, the weight cuts and all that, and then you get in that ring in, but you battle it out, and then you just leave it all in the ring. And when you like it all in the ring, you go, man, you press a reset button, and then you go again. And like, you know, so
there's a lot of fighters, but that I've listened to interviews have said about what you said,
like a self-harm mechanism. But yeah, you know, I wouldn't shy to take a shot.
But you know,
that makes sense to you of all people because you the fights you had, they weren't, you know, they weren't like tit for tat fights.
They were never like a tent on the back.
I know. I always come out black and blue, and I've had a fractured eye socket, I've had numerous concussions.
My favourite memory was you'd fought in the O2 for that video up. You was in McDonald's or somewhere with all rats covered in blood.
My dressing gown and all that. Get me to McDonald's.
I like the thing is, but you know, some people who know, you think, you've done that for sure, but like the likes of us, that's him. That's Sean.
I remember. I was just saying to him before we started filming, I used to always take a bit of motivation from his stories because he'd be up running before 3 o'clock, and I can always remember when he fought Chapman when they made you suck all that weight. I remember seeing him on the Sunday in Greg's. He had 2 like breakfast baguettes. He was black and blue. I think like obviously if you didn't know him, you'd be thinking,
you'd wear him proud, wouldn't you? Like you'd wear him proud. Yeah,
you'd be thinking you've had a rough Saturday night in the pub, like
after the weight cuts and all that. Like I know it was just standard for me to go to McDonald's. It was like, you know,
we've spoke about it with loads of fighters, and when you're a fighter and you've got to make that weight, it becomes an eating disorder.
Yeah, definitely.
Because you've had like 8 to 10 weeks of camp, religious. And all of a sudden, it's excessive, isn't it?
Yeah.
Everything's in excess. So your weight cut is excessive in as much as like it's over the top. And then after that, what do? You eat like a pig. And then what happens then? A week later, you have that anxiety and you go, you know, look, I put about 2 stone on you. I better go back to the gym.
And you keep eating because you don't know when the next call is going to come and say, by the way, you got to do this again. No,
it's funny because like I've gone through camp and I'm losing the weight, like because I learned to lose it, not cut it in the end, like because it was the same day weigh-in, wasn't it?
Just for the audience, same day weigh-in.
Same day weigh-in when I was on it, so I learned not to dehydrate, and I learned my lesson from that. So like through camp in between meals and I'm taking unpaid leave from work with sponsorship and all that, and then getting my old goodies and that up in the man cave, ice cream, chocolate and all that, knowing I couldn't have it, like, you know, and I wanted it, but after the fight when I could have it, I didn't want it. It was psychological, but mental, man.
But yeah, just go back to so you went back to the gym and
I went back to the gym and sparring, me and Big Dill in the morning, and he jabbed me in the eye, and boof, it just went blurry straight away. I'm like, oh my God, what have I done now? I went to work and it sort of got worse. It did. I'm sat in work trying to read my phone and I couldn't see it. I'm like, looking through my bar, I couldn't see the text. I went home, I did, and I had the baby. She was only a couple of months old at the time. Obviously, I come through the door, I had the baby on my lap, and Abby said, what's the matter with your eye? And I'm like, nothing. Why? Because I had to hide it from her, like I was back down in sparring. And she's like, it's fucking closed, like it was fucking when it happened, like, you know, and I had another anxiety attack, and I said, quick, I have the baby. I went in the kitchen and I just keeled over, but you know, so yeah, that was it for me. I have been back down here, like, you know, with Giffy's boys, like, but not to the extreme I used to, like, you know, I just have a tap about.
There's nothing wrong with training, but
no, I know.
I
know. I can't just go in the gym and hit the pads and the bags. Yeah, I gotta let it out in the ring.
Listen, but I can tell you what I'm saying. Yeah, that ring now, and I don't do any. You know, I spar grappling,
but no,
I have no contact. Jack will tell you, I was sparring up to like 45, 46 years of age, non-stop, every week. But you've then got to make that decision. You've got a young family.
I know, shit.
You know,
I ain't going to lie, but I found it hard, and I'm finding it hard, but you know.
Are you someone that's always suffered with like anxiety, panic attacks?
Yeah, but like since the eye injury and I, like, you know, if
what about before that as a younger bloke? Was it something that
I've always been sort of depressed and all that, like, and obviously a background of drugs and crime and that, you know, and maybe mental health was like planted in me years ago, like, you know, I experienced suicide when I was really young, like, you know. But yeah, I've always been there. Like, but
subconscious trauma, probably.
Yeah, it is. But yeah, you just learn to manage it, don't know. And training is
an outlet.
Was my outlet, and like Jack said last night, you know, I'm the same as Jack, but you know, I'm an obsessive kind of person. But it is all or nothing with me. But wherever I did, whether it was the crime, the drugs, you know, work and all that, my kids being a father, I'm an all or nothing kind of guy. Like, you know.
So on that, touching on that, like, you know, you've spoke openly about, like, you've been to prison, you had issue with, you know, drugs and what, you completely sober now, I believe.
Yeah, definitely. But it was cocaine was my problem. But yeah.
And do you think you finding BK Key was the perfect opportunity?
It was, but it was a saving grace for me. But because we had the kids, I got a job, and then the BKB come around. It all went hand in hand, and it sort of snowballed together, like, you know.
And like when you joined, you know, like I remember it wasn't a big thing.
No, it was people.
But me and Jack, I'd sell, and the boys in the gym, I go, oh, he's made for that.
Yeah.
You know, I've known this as a kid. Now,
it was so premature, wasn't it? People think it was illegal and that. Like,
honest, you know, I'm not blowing smoke up here. I think you're probably responsible, not just in Wales, UK wide, being one of them people that blew the sport up.
Yeah, I did, but you know.
Like,
I opened the gates of Wales, shaky, but I put my life on the line every time.
I've been everywhere, but I don't talk to anybody we keep in and say.
So I got the outlaw. I know.
The outlaw George.
I know. It's and that's why I miss guys. I miss the outlaw, but it's me. I'm lost now. Like, you know, I'm trying to find Sean. I am now, but obviously I'm clinging on to the outlaw.
Taking like a group of lads under your wing.
Yeah, I thought about that. Listen, man, Giffy said the gym is always open for me, but I've had numerous people say, "Oh, do you want to train me? Do you want to train me?" But with work and all that, I couldn't commit to it, guys. You know, I couldn't say to someone, I'll be in the gym 5 p.m. I'm stuck on the M4 traffic. That's after a day's graft, I might not feel like it. Like,
and kids as well,
it was tough to commit. But yeah, and when I go home, like, I grab the baby, where Abby has the baby all day, and it's my turn then. Like, we take turns, innit?
What are you doing to fill up that space?
Well, nothing at the moment. I'm just lost at the moment, Shake, to be honest. I get up in the morning, I go to work, and then I come home, man, obviously back and forth the gym with the kids and that, and I just have the baby, like, you know.
I think you should be taking...
I know. I need to...
For anyone listening, Giffy runs a successful gym.
I need to have a word with myself, I do.
And even if it's only a couple of days a week,
I know.
Because your kids are into the...
Giffy said, but...
had her PGA comp the other week.
Yeah, she did, Avie, but...
So, you know... You can support them and anything else, but I think it's important for you. But maybe 2 or 3 days a week.
Yeah, definitely. I know. Shit.
Find that little.
Well, I watched Jack's podcast last night, and I could touch on everything he was saying. But you know,
I want to jump. I am
going back to training. You know, if helped him, like I
want to jump to the mental health thing a little bit. When obviously you got given the news, like you can't fight. You know, you can't afford taking a shot. Obviously, like you're not shy to say it. You're very open. Like, so you lived a bit of a mad life before. You was bad on the drugs, the crime. Was it, and I know it's different now because you've got your kids, but was it, when they told you couldn't fight, that was always your release? That was always, like you said, your mechanism, like your self-harm mechanism. Was it ever a worry that, is this going to mean that I go back on the wrong path, or is this going to mean that I'm going to fall into a rut?
It was worrying, you know, obviously... Being the outlaw, you're fighting all the time with me, like trying to pick up with friends and all. They're all doing the same things I had to walk away from and all. But like since the eye injury, like I know it's just all been like negative. Like I know I lost my dog Archie by Shake, man, and that.
Well, listen, I remember that dog. You never see
you wouldn't. You'd see me, and then boom, you'd see Archie down the hairdressers, Greg's, Iceland. You just sit and wait.
You'd always know where he was because Archie beside.
I caught the dog first. I think somewhere about there.
I know. Sorry, guys. I hate talking about him, but yeah, that was so sudden. I knew he had a bad tough, his breath stunk. I booked him in at the vets, and I did. They wanted 930 quid. I didn't have that money about me, but I raised that money. Dad took him down in the morning. I went to work and arranged to pick him up after then. I did. They ring me up, obviously, to take a tough out. They had to put him to sleep, but before that, they had to take his bloods. So they took his bloods, and they told me he had a low blood count. An underlying problem it could be, like a tumour, cancer, or whatever. So they had to scrap the teeth, shave his belly, and then they gave him a scan then and found that he had cancer of the spleen. It already spread to the kidneys, like. And with the spleen, you know, there's a chance it could rupture and he would bleed eternally, like. So we had the wedding creeping in. Obviously, that's another positive, like, you know, I got married. So we had the wedding creeping in. I was in bits, but, you know. And,
it also all come at once.
It did. So the eye, and then Archie Boy, I had him put down, I did, and that buckled me. And I lost Uncle Mike, and I did the cancer, like, you know. My dad, but, you know, he's my hero, but you know, he's the toughest man I know, but what he's been through and the people he's lost and that, but he just gets on with it, like, you know. And like yeah, that was tough. I was losing out to Mike, and then we lost Baz. And I know Baz wasn't family, but he fought a lot to me, and I fought a lot to Baz, Zulu Baz, one night Baz, And then it was Dave Courtney, wasn't it? He shot himself. And then we had like Aaron Pugsley, you know, good mates of Aaron, but I tried to guide him through the years, and he fucking died, didn't he? And then we had Carl Vowles, then he died of an heart attack.
That was a year ago.
And
we were talking to Grant
a couple of months back now. It was Dan, when Dan Phillips, like, you know, I met Dan in Cardiff prison, and we just clicked. But real recognises real, I say. And you've watched me go from zero to hero. You've always been in the background, but you've always praised me up. And but then after Dan, but I just broke down. I did, man. It was like all that post trauma caught up with me. I'm in work, I am, but I'm just thinking about it, and I just broke down in work. I did, but
what a counsellor always tell you about is trauma's like a snowball.
Honest to God,
right? You have a little bit of trauma, and it rolls down the hill and it gets bigger.
It did for me. It did, man. It's like a snowball effect. But all that bits of trauma, but just caught up with me. But I was finding no comfort in the house, and I was finding no comfort in work. But I was fucking suicidal.
Lost, innit?
Yeah, I was lost.
We're all guilty of it, and we like with the trauma, like you said, with the trauma. It's when you got stuff going on, like the fighting, like whatever. It's easy to put to the back of your mind, and you can forget about it. But like you said, eventually it creeps in. What they call it, the black dog. A lot of people.
I always ask somebody this: have you like sought out help about talking to somebody?
I've been to the doctors, I've had counselling over the phone, one to one, and that. But honest to God, guys, there's not much help out there for us, man. I've sat down and chatted about my problems behind a closed door, and then as soon as I walk out that room, but they're still there. Like, they never go away, man.
We spoke about this, me and Marshman, last week. It works for some. It don't. You know, my advice to you is try everything. And if it don't work, you will never look back.
It's a tough one, the counselling. I heard somewhere, it might be on the Joe Rogan podcast, and I thought it's a very good point. It's like saying counselling is great for some people, but
it don't work.
What happens with counselling is you're constantly talking about your problems. So the more you talk about your problems, the more prominent they become in your mind,
and in the front of your mind, and you ain't pushing into the back of your mind.
Making these problems a bigger deal than what they are.
But you also have the flip side, like someone like Sean, who's a proud fighting man, who's like the provider for the family.
Family man, but
you know, everybody looking up to him. Is it he's not in that place where he feels comfortable maybe talking to his missus, talking to one of the boys about it. You know,
it's hard for a man.
It's like stigma around it, isn't it?
It's hard for men.
Let it all out and then come back. You know, it's hard, but you know, no ifs or buts about it. It's hard, and you're still in that acclimatization period where you're searching that next,
stuck in that rut, that
next thing. You know,
what I will say is, though, you know, you say you're stuck in a rut, but obviously you've been retired 2 years now.
Is it 2 years?
You haven't obviously resorted back to any of your bad ways.
No,
you're still very much family oriented.
Still family orientated, but still get up every day and go to work.
And what probably is the big thing there.
That's what I was going to say. So what? You know, you must be doing there must be something, I suppose, that's keeping you on the straight and narrow, because it'd be very easy for someone like you said.
It's just my family in there, but I just know one bad decision, but my life could be turned upside down. Something as small as roll ridge, but I'm bobbing on in my little Swift tank. I get it all the time, man. These filter lanes and they're giving it the big one and they want to pull over I just drive off. But I go like that because I know if I get out and they start and I finish it, by the time I get home, but I'm on Gwent Police, I'm on fucking Facebook and all that, but dash cams and
listen,
it's crazy they don't
with my background, but obviously I don't abide by the same rules. So
but that prosecutor be throwing anything. You're 3-week world champion.
That's it. That's what the judges say. But
that jury's gonna look and go.
Send him down.
Send him down.
3.5 years.
It's crazy thing,
violent disorder.
It's a crazy thing, road rage.
And then there goes my fucking job, and then there goes my house and that. But you know,
and
so
you lose a family.
Many times, but I've had to just tap myself on the back.
I've got plenty of friends, but that have had a lengthy sentence and have come out with no woman. And you know, you can't really criticise that person either. You know what I mean? Like I've had boys saying, "Oh, she shouldn't have left him." I go, "The bloke was serving 7 years in jail."
Yeah, I know.
You know, is she really gonna hang around? He made that choice, not her.
Yeah.
You know, so it's tough. So those things are what's keeping you on the street now.
Yeah, my kid's better at the moment. Like, you know, obviously I got Abby, we got married. That's a positive. But you know, I love Abby. As the saying goes, behind every strong man, but there's a stronger woman. Like, you know, obviously when I was fighting and that, I was champion. I had everybody around me. You know what I mean? And then obviously with the eye injury, but they just went, didn't they? And obviously it was Abby who had to pick up the pieces. Like, so shout out to Abby, you know.
She sees everything first stand.
Yeah, definitely. But
yeah.
After every fight, but they're there to pick up the piece.
The good, the bad, and the ugly. Yeah, the good, the bad, and they, like you said. But all anyone ever sees really is the 15, 20 minutes where having a fight.
That's it, fight night. But they don't see all this underneath the weight cut and all that. And I was a bugger.
Fighting's an iceberg.
Yeah, we know it.
You see the tip of the iceberg. You don't see everything.
You don't see what's going on underneath, and there's a lot more going on underneath of what's happening in fight night.
I've been there myself, like you said that. You know what it's like in fight camp. You can be a nightmare for 8 weeks.
Oh yeah, it's definitely. You don't mean to be. You got to be selfish. You said on Jack's podcast last night. You got to be selfish.
Yeah. And I had it in May when I had my split my shin open. Obviously when I come down, I come walk down the stairs. My leg was black, swollen. So obviously I've left the missus for a week to go to Brazil. That's before the 8 weeks beforehand. So I've come home, and then when it's meant to be my turn to pick up the slack a bit, you buckled again for another week. And I know you've had things like that where you've had eyes closed, fractures, injuries.
You just want to be alone, don't you? You're coming off losses or controversial decisions and that, but you don't even want to see your kids, but do you? You're just your own worst enemy. You just stuck in that rut.
It is a selfish lifestyle, isn't it? And it's
when you get matched up again, then you go again. Yeah, then, don't know.
To be successful in any combat sport, you've got to be selfish.
I love talking about fighting, chick. You ask Abby, but I get high off talking about fighting. Wherever I go, people say outlaw this and that. I love talking about it. That is my
it's your identity, but it's what you become.
From who I was to who I am, and it's a million miles, but blood, sacrifice, and tears and that. But
I've always said to people, I'm proud of how you've turned your life around, because I remember the dark times when you've gone to jail and all the rest of it. But that person has come out. You've always been mentally strong. You're probably a little bit mentally vulnerable as a younger bloke, where you could be encouraged to do. And then I think you've probably done your jail sentence and come out and thought, bang, something needs to change.
It's a wake-up call, isn't it?
And like I said, perfect timing. The BKB came around.
I got a job.
You got a job. You met your wife.
We had Ayla.
You've had children. And all of a sudden, the horrible storm becomes a perfect storm.
And I think
all the right things happen.
I think it's a testament to you as well, because I don't think this is an out there statement. Like, I think most people who knew you before you went to jail would have been the first to say,
negative,
he's not going to be out long.
Wouldn't piss on me on fire.
I remember him coming out of jail, and I'm sure a lot of people who knew you was probably like, he's not going to be out long. And he's one of the few, to be fair, who've gone and done time for the crime you did, and I've never
I've been in trouble since, but I was stuck in that rut. I did that crime, and I did the time for it.
Again, like sport of marshmallow, it's that maturity as well. But you're getting older, your life changes. What did you have prison? How long did you do?
I had 3.5 years. I done 2 years, and I found out who my friends and I was.
It's a long time to reflect as well. But when you're sitting in that cell every night, it's like, is it worth it?
I did. I had a long time to reflect.
You can earn all the money. I say this to some of the boys. Like I work with the lads in Cardiff, and if you speak to them and go, "What are you going to do in school?" and they blunt back, "I'm going to sell drugs."
Yeah.
What are you going to sell drugs? Oh, John from Pettington, and he's driving around in a 50 grand motor. He's only ever done 12 months in jail. He's 40 odd years of age. He's living in a 300 grand house. I go, but sooner or later that net.
Definitely. But a few of them around you, but
particularly from this area, the valleys with his highest unemployment in the country, second highest in the UK, poverty levels of all time high, more kids on free school meals than any other borough. It's a tough old area. So how do you say to that kid, we're going to go and work in a factory for minimum wage, or you can pop to the pub Friday, Saturday, Sunday and walk away with 500 quid. I'm not condoning it, but what I'm saying is, I understand
that's society, innit?
I totally get why
easy way out from it.
And it's so easy in this area, in this environment, to get those things. So, like, you two have come out and gone, no, I'm not going back to what I did. It was a big thing for me. And I just see totally, you was a wild man, but,
I know, off the rails, wasn't I?
Off the rail. You'd have your periods. Like, you trained with me for a long time. Not me coaching. We were in the same team.
I know, but I was thinking about it last night, Shake. You used to pick me up. I was 8 years old in the back. And I used to run it down the night. I'm never going to go down the roads of drugs, blah, blah, blah. I was on the right path, and I went down that road, and unfortunately, but...
a lot of people don't know it. We fought on the same card, and we both won a British title on the same card.
Yeah.
And at that point, you realise, thinking, you got potential.
I tried to make amends. I come to the arena and didn't I? And, I was self-harming back then, I was, and I come to blinder and that.
I suppose, like, what you could say then is the one constant positive you've always had in your life has been fighting.
Yeah,
from a young age. So I can imagine having to just sort of stop it now. That would be very, very tough too.
That would taken away as well, not my own accord. Like, I didn't want an injury to be the reason I had to stop. Like, and I always mention an eye, guys. And I always say, well, if I lost an eye and whatever, and it happened to me. Like,
do you know what I think? and this isn't a positive, but I think you were that type of character. It would have took an injury to stop it.
Yeah, well, that's what my family said, Jack.
Because
I
think
been
you
too tough for my own good.
You never,
how old do you know, Sean?
41.
41.
And I think you would still be going at 50.
But with the best one on, how he lives his life and his genetics, you know, you're a lean person,
always fit,
you probably could have kept fighting until 45, 46.
I could show a bit more, but fight
without a doubt.
And that's what I'm saying. Mentality as well. There goes the all or nothing kind of guy again.
The flip side of that is, what would the long-term damage be?
How long? I know, that's it.
Would you then at 51, 52, your dementia kicking in?
I know. Well,
so sometimes what seems like a fall from grace is a saving grace.
Yeah, but I do think about it all the time, man. I swear, and like, it's good because BKB ended. You know, I retired and BKB ended, but then the Trigon and have come about. I know I had to get the itchy knuckles all the time, but I do.
What did we say last week? And we've said on camera and off camera. You know, with your Thai background as well.
Yeah, I know, with the clinch, I know. I thought that straight away, like, you know, and just going forward, they can't run from me.
You know,
I know, and I've had a few people like try to instigate me back, and I like, I know.
Well, we said on the first podcast back, I was like, Sean was a good BKB fighter, but I said this BYB style would have just been so much better suited for you, because having cornered the boys first hand, it's even smaller in person than what I look like. It's
tiny in there,
tiny.
Can you imagine me and Chapman and there, like?
That's exactly what I was just going to say. That's a different fight then, isn't it?
He fought a clever fight, didn't get involved. We just danced.
That's what he had to do, though, didn't he?
I'm not knocking him. That's the thing.
That's what he had to do.
You imagine in that little triangle, and you back him at that corner, and
well, that's why he left now, isn't he? Now he's gone to BKFC.
Don't throw no knees over, right? It looks like that temptation when he double plugged.
We was on about that LT Nelson against Barry Jones. Barry Jones, probably on paper, is the best pure boxer to ever fight in the sport of BKB in terms of accolades.
LT Nelson took Barry's best in the first bit, and then he took Barry's boxing away, and he did.
Totally
he just shut him down. He mauled him on the inside, but Barry just got frustrated.
And you could see like the Thai and the MMA playing a part. He was holding on to his neck, ripping the body, and
he was, you know,
like you said, you when you watched it live. Within the first round, when Barry Pernay thought, this is and then the second round, and I remember thinking, he's going to break him by that one. And he did.
Barry started to slow down, and LT Nelson started to pick up. I think Barry was under a lot of pressure with that fight. You know,
100%,
he took it for the wrong reasons, because he was already going to retire, wasn't he? He just lost his nan. He did. He had his little boys there for the first time, and it was an home crowd. Now all their pressure, different aspects. Like, I think it just crumbled him. Like,
you made a career out of breaking people.
Yeah, I know.
Because you could maintain that pace. I say, Larry, Sean will start in the first minute and finish in the last minute at the same pace.
But the 3 rounders never did me no favours. It was the 5 and 7s.
The 5s and the 7s you was built for.
Because every fight is a 5 now in the BYB.
BYB 5-3s it is, So, it's a long time from. Some will adjust to it and some won't be able to. Obviously, some will want to try move and footwork and things. Obviously,
you can't do it in it. You can't do it in it.
I want to ask you, that out. Like, obviously, you was doing it on your own soul. You've now got Gachi in there, Dan Newell. So Dan has said he's retired. Now he's not retired. But Dan has been in it for a while. I mean, you've seen how Gacha been this last 12 months. Another person who's dealt with the demons. You know, spoke about suicide openly. Spoke about depression. What's your thought? You know, for someone who I think is probably more qualified than anybody in the country to discuss whether you think their chances are becoming a champ. What's your thoughts on Gatch?
Oh, definitely. But I take my hat off to him. You've had his dark days. You've addressed them and you've overcome them, and he's made amends now, hasn't he? And I could see him being a champion. But I'd like to see him fight Dan Lerwell. I would.
Yeah,
disrespect to Dan Lerwell. I love Dan Lerwell, but they got a bit of history from the MMA
fight
days
as well.
And that'd make a good fight. But I got a lot of time for Gachi. But
I think his style and like yourself, but he's an hard man.
Definitely.
He's an hard man.
I can just relate what he's been through.
Take away the boxing. He's an hard man. Like if Gachi had zero, and same as yourself, zero combat sports training, you're still gonna be an hard
because you got that mentality,
on the street. But like I said, I think he's made for it. Marksman style, made for it. And we spoke about I'm excited to see what John Phillips is going to be like.
Oh yeah, definitely.
I'm glad he's in BKFC, John Phillips, because he might have death on their hands in that little triangle.
Oh yeah, I can imagine him.
Imagine him blowing up now. He's big, isn't he, man? He's 100 plus. He's fighting heavyweight.
I tell you, just to go off topic a bit, did you see? I saw on the weekend Ben Rothwell won the BKFC title.
He beat Mick Terrell, didn't he?
He was in the BKB at one point, wasn't he?
He was. He'd been in it from the UB bad days. Yeah, but then he went to the BKB.
He was the champion.
Yeah, he was.
I don't know if you do see that.
You got a feel for it.
Last week, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was.
You see, I don't know the lads' names, but
see the one where he chucked fucking cake on the way.
Yeah,
he brought cake and he dished the cake, and Connor had one. Dave his opponent had one, and he ate it from him and gave him a left up with a cake in his hand.
I seen the video of someone shared a video. It was of that one. And someone have shared on it like McGregor is literally the new evil Dana White. So like McGregor's like getting in between, and then out of nowhere he's like coked up and he like grabbed the belt, and they've had this big ruckus. And he grabbed the belt. And he's in the middle of lifting the belt.
Yeah, well, a few of them that played up in the weigh-ins, but have got humbled, or didn't they?
Well, and that one guy, the one guy who slipped on the scales, and
that's him. He fought a coloured guy, didn't he? Got humbled, but didn't he?
See his head bounce off the rope.
That's it. See, you got to keep your mouth shut them now in the weigh-ins, and just stay humble and defeat and
one thing with you, I know you had your back and forth with Chapman, but you've always carried yourself well, I felt. You were always respectful.
Yeah. I didn't deserve that with Dan Chapman. No. Nobody wanted to fight Dan Chapman at 69 kilos. I walk around at 81, I do. Jim put a post up, look for a 69 kilo fighter. I said, who is it? He said, Dan Chapman. So I said, I'll fight them. So the fight was made. And then Dan Chapman just went stale, and he did. He took me off all social media. He was putting my head on pictures of Gollum and all that. And then, so I trained for him once. So obviously I lost the weight. And then COVID came around then. Yeah. So that camp went tits up. And then COVID stayed around. Another camp went tits up. And then Abby had a miscarriage and all. So I was another. So by the time I fought him, I trained 5 times with Dan Chapman. And obviously I showed up at the weigh-ins and all. And he comes in, roided up to the gills and all. He was like an hour late. It was all tactics. It was inside my head, and then obviously when the bell went, then he just danced around, and they put a bigger ring in it that night, and they used me to build the star. But they did the same with Tyler Goodjohn.
What did you say to him? What did you say to him at the weigh-in? I'm gonna fucking fold you like a
$5 note. One
of the best one.
What I love then,
that's what I meant. People don't know what I'm gonna fucking put a straight on. So that's what I said. I come to my steak tomorrow, and we'll have a go on the fucking shit. I'll fold up like a £5 note. I didn't mean in the ring, hit him and knock him out. I meant go to my steak and fucking get my hands on him, and pick him up, dunk him, fucking monk him, elbow fuck out of him, and I might even fucking bite him as well. That's what I meant by fold up like a £5 note. Get my fucking hands on him.
We were talking about right after, and he's like, let me tell you, we know Sean of old. And he's heading for my steak over the next couple of weeks.
2 days later, I went on my steak looking for the bastard, but I couldn't let it go, Shake. After all that year of build-up, all that frustration, I didn't let it out on the night, and then he labelled me a racist because I called him Curry Boy, and then fucking I just couldn't let it go, but I had to settle it, but...
And the best thing is, so, right?
I take it who didn't see him in my steak.
No, I'll be fucked.
This is what I always
he went undercover, but...
A sporting contest is one. You can't make it personal, because what happens is like Masvidal and Kobe Covington for some... It don't end there when that bell.
I know, it's what happened, it was tactics, so when he knew he had to get inside my head, frustration, but made me angry. Anger's the enemy, innit? We all know that.
I have been around a long time, and let me tell you, if you'd have got hold of him on the street, it'd have been a bad
day. I always remember the fight happening. I remember I was talking to one of the boys down the boxing gym, don't ask about it, and I was like, they want to make sure they got security at that way, and then they got security ready after, because I was like, if Sean decides he's going to go off, I'm like, they're not just going to... There's not a lot anyone going to do to stop him.
If he didn't know where to look, but his head was gone, he thought, fucking, here we go. Well, anyway, a year and a half, 2 years later after that, I was at the BKB show working. Obviously, Dan Chapman was there interviewing the fighters, and we just come together like how we did, and it could have went either way, but you know what? I just fucking put my hand out, and I said, put it there, Dan. I said... I didn't want to be wasting no more mental energy on it,
good lad.
And I just let it fucking lie. He shook my hand, he went his way, and I went my way, and nothing could be said.
You imagine this 15 years ago, it'd been on site, and I know that for a fact.
I wouldn't have let it lie, but I would have kept getting for him, but like I said, he's gone his way, I've gone my way, he's with the BKFC now, let sleeping dogs lie, as I say.
Touch a little bit of the positives on your career. What was your favourite fight? Your favourite fight?
I'd say that Kerr Bennett fight made me, but it was my 5th fight. It was the first ever lightweight title for the bare knuckle, and even though he bashed me up, but he couldn't have won another round, but I took him all away, whereas his previous opponents he put away in the first, and if it wasn't that, it would have been the Tyler Goodjohn fight, Tyler Goodjohn come in.
the knockout.
No, that was Liam Cullen. That was a good weight to win. That was Liam Cullen. That was a good way to win. Glad you brought that up because we had a controversial 5-round war, and they called it a draw. I got the motivation. I went off. I come back. It was the first bare knuckle schedule for 7 rounds, and I done him in like 40 seconds. And I saw, that was
that one that went viral.
It's the best knockout to date.
The Tyler Goodjohn one. We and who watched. He'd had experience somewhere else, and they tried to build him.
Yeah, that's
right.
And
if you remember, me and who watched it, and we was like, "Fucking hell!"
Yeah,
they made it like that was going to be, and he won every round.
Well, he was the better boxer. Yeah, don't get me wrong.
I remember that. You watched Ancon Controversy.
Yeah.
Because they said, "Oh, you've won that clear," and they done you what they robbed you.
They did,
but to give context, people might not know Kev Bennett is. Kev Bennett's ex-pro boxer.
He's a seasoned pro.
They went 5 rounds.
Boxed all his life, all through the army, ex-Commonwealth champion. But like I said,
his elbow with your eye as well.
Yeah, my eye.
And then the mad fucker checked himself out of the
Yeah, that's right. But his previous opponents, he got away in the first. So he was known for his body shots. You go over the top of that right, you look for a left up the body. I'd rather get hit 10 to the head. I would back in the body shot. So I kept the low guard. I'm eating that right, and I'm defending the body shot. Then, but I took him all away, man. Fair play. Even though he nearly killed me, guys. We're like now, but you got a lot of respect for me. Not only him, Richie Horsley, like the crazy horse.
From Newcastle.
Yeah, he got a lot of respect for me as well. He sent me a signed copy of his book, and I'll cherish that forever. I have some wicked memories,
you know
guys.
what Horsley is?
No.
He's like street
and Leicester's bare knuckle back in the day. The crazy horse they called him, didn't they?
Yeah, you speak to any like old school gangster hard man, he'll be brought up in the conversation.
So I've had a few highs in the BKB. Like I said, I fought Tyler, I won the world title. I've had the British and that.
Have you got any mad stories from behind the scenes at the BKB that people might not know about on camera, or any weigh-in stories, any changing room stories?
I can't think of any. Probably loads have happened, but I just never took notice.
What's the crack with our? You remember had the beef with the American guy? What was his name?
Eric Olsen.
What's happening?
Well, he's in the Kings of the Streets.
Oh, that
one that I want to fucking praise him up, but he just fought on the weekend now. He fucking gouged someone's eye out, he did. But he goes in there, praying to gouge their eyes out. He says, I'm going to gouge your eye out, like.
You know what that...
He knows a bit of wrestling and all that, don't get me wrong. They get him on the ground and that. He just bides his time, he gets the mount, and then he works his hand up, shake, and he puts his fingers in his fucking eye. It's horrible.
You know that Kings of the Street? That's the one with Dorian Dash. Yeah. Because he didn't.
I ain't comfortable going anyway with the referees, judges all wearing balaclavas.
It's illegal, isn't it? I mean, obviously, another guy, fucking bit someone's ear off. The boy whose ear he bit off still come back and won, but he still lost a ear, haven't he?
And also, you don't ever know when you're going to leave out.
So listen now, guys, with the Kings of the Streets, you get like a set purse. If you bite something off, you get a bonus. Listen, that ain't it. You know, if you swallow it, you get double bubble butt.
That ain't normal.
Honest to God. So if you bit someone's ear or their nose off or their eyelid and swallow it, they can't have it back to sew on, you get a bonus.
There's no crowd. There's no like pay-per-view. How are they making money? Is it gangsters?
It must be pay-per-view or gangsters. They're Polish, and they're foreigners. They are. You get a set day and date. It's not like
no, it's not advertised, is it?
No, it's not advertised. They show up on the day, they have the weigh-ins, and then boom, they fight. It was in a subway the other night. They put a couple of Irish panels in a subway, and that's where they went down.
Hey, does it remind me of that lady in the early 2000s?
Yeah.
Is there anyone in the BYB or the BKFC now that obviously now you're retired, you look at and think, you know, I would have loved to have to go in there and
a few boys, but a few. I won't say no names, like, I don't know, raise my animosity because I get on with them all, but it's a few boys, but like the Scott McHugh fight, I wanted to get the rematch out the way, so obviously he called it a knockdown, and the ref hit me off my feet more than Scott did, so because of that one touchdown, but they called it fucking a loss, like, and I was gutted then. But I got a few highs. Like I've gone in the Hall of Fame since, haven't I? Not a year, just in America as well.
You had the belt. What's it called?
The Police Gazette.
Yeah, the Police Gazette, and that show was dedicated to Baz, who got Baz on the back. Like, and that was it's sentimental to me. That is, and like I
do think it's good that they.
I got 1 of 3 in the World Jem Mace Awards. So Jem Mace now is like a trainer from way back in the day, the 1800s, and because Scott Burt, the Police Gazette Corporation, he lives bare knuckle, but he's represented from the 1800s years, like and then belts and cheap butt, and you've got a new one every show, the medallions and all that. But the Welsh show now has all the Wales on it now, seeing it. But I've got a few highs and that, but from it, fair play. The legacy, but you can't take that away from
no,
me. Like,
no matter what happens.
No. That's
I think
I've had 22 bare knuckle fights, but no one's catching up to them figures in Wales. But
if you went up to anybody and said, name someone from BKB, I think 99% of people in Wales, first name is going to be yours.
Even in the
Jimmy
UK.
Sweeney, like, innit?
I think in the UK, that's like going to say, you probably say Sean George or Jimmy Sweeney would be the top two.
I just need to tell myself now, it's the end of an era. There's them days gone. Just go forward now. Look
And you
for
will find
myself
something,
and
you will
get a
find
bit of a
something.
social life. Go, I need to get back in the gym. I do, guys.
The gym is the one for you, but if you get
I
there 3
know.
days a week, it's
I know.
on
Well,
top.
Giffy's gym is moving up to Powell Street now, isn't it?
Right
Down the
road,
road.
step,
And
man.
it's literally a church, like, you know. So we're going in there and we confessing our sins and we leave it all in there, don't we?
Listen now, bud. Do the confession after the training session. You'll be down.
I had to go down there on a Sunday, Shake. Obviously, you've got the Thai boys, not much for boxers, did I? I had to go in the ring and I don't get out of the ring. I'd have them all in one at a time. I'd have tapper and I had to feel wicked, but let me tell you, I had to feel great. I've left it all in the ring, but I go home and I feel great, but you know.
Marshman spoke about it, didn't he, last week?
Yeah.
All good for your mental health.
You know,
massive, but
that's his new vice, you know. And I always say this to people.
That's what I need to do, guys.
And even like, not even for people looking for advice, even for boys, I always say to the boys in the gym as well, I'm like, you may wake up and not want to do a session, but once you've done it, you'll never ever think yourself.
I woke up and didn't want to do it, but sometimes that was the best session.
You'll never ever think yourself after, oh, I wish I didn't do it.
No, you do. Because you get to my age, like I gone down that gym this morning, I'm aching from the last 2 days. I thought, I'll do without this. It was even numbers, so I got to jump in and roll. Then by the end of it, it's 10:10. I feel $1 million.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. I feel better up here.
I had no problem, guys, man, going to the gym. And as Jenko said, but you know, you want me in the gym 4 a.m., but I'm outside washing my car at past 3 a.m. like waiting for him. But you know, I'm an all or nothing kind of guy. Like,
have you?
Can I ask you? Talk about how did it come around? How did this journey start in the BKB? Where did you see it?
So I come out of prison. I was sort of getting back into my old ways and that. Like I got with Abby. I got my own little house and all that. And I stumbled across a video I did, a Leon Corker.
That's right.
So they had a boxing ring on a field in Kettering. They did. I thought, that's a bit of me. They was paying a couple of quid. Like I was skint at the time, so I got straight on the promoters. It was called B-Bad back then. See, when
that's right.
So I got straight on the promoters.
Is it the lad from Liverpool running it then?
No, it was
same people, isn't it?
So a guy invented B-Bad. His name was Andy Toplift. Obviously, we had Sean Smith, and I was a ref and that. Then. So he sort of created it. He sort of looked at it and thought, we can do something with this. He was a big fan. Like, he had a few bare knuckle on the street, and it just evolved from that. I think Jim and Joe then went there as spectators, they did. And they thought, you know, we could do something with this. And obviously, one of them being the money man, like, you know, they just invested in it and it just evolved from that then. So it was called B-Bad for a bit, wasn't it?
Yeah, I remember that.
And then they got Sean Smith involved then. Obviously, he's a big name, isn't he, you know? He was a fucking giant when I met him. He was. I seen him on Facebook and YouTube and that. So it was called UB-Bad then, wasn't it? And obviously, he went a bit stale with them too, Jim and Joe and Sean. And obviously, he went forward then as BKB then.
So where was your first fight?
My first fight was in Newcastle. I got paid 300 quid. It cost me more to fly up here and stay up here. And, you know, and I just loved it, shit. I done August, September, October, November, all on the bounce I did. But
I can remember it,
that's obviously £300, then £500, maybe £750 on my fourth or fifth fight. I was on £1,000. It ain't a lot thinking about it. I wouldn't fight for less than £1,000 now. But I just loved it, shit. But I know it was a saving grace for me.
It was nice,
I kept you on the street now. As you spoke about addictions, all of a sudden, all them addictive traits, and you were being plugged into something.
It all just went hand in hand, but like, I would go to work and that. We had Ayla Grace, like, you know, and Ayla was a saving point for me. I never thought I'd have any kids, but, you know, I just had a goal then, but to get my own house. So after every fight I had, but I just banked the money. I never stayed back to the after parties because they all went back to Dave Courtney's house all the time. Drink and drugs, and I never interested me. Get me to fucking McDonald's. I just had this goal, but I wanted my own house. So I kept banking the money, fighting, banking the money, and then boof, before I knew it, but I had the money there. I went for a fucking mortgage. I got my mortgage. I got my house and that shit. But you know,
and one thing I always remember you doing interviews, you was fighting because of Christmas.
Yeah, it was.
I thought that was brilliant.
Well, that's why they're missing out, shit. Like I said, physically, mentally, but financially, it hit me hard. Like, you know, November time, I'd have a fight. Boom, there's Christmas sorted. January, we're a bit skint. Here comes their birthdays. I just have a fight. And it's struggling at the moment. I'm like, you know.
Have you ever thought about, I know you mentioned, but have you ever thought about like going into a bit like PTA? Because I bet there's loads of
I did, man. Like I said, if he said the gym's always open for me, I've had people mail me from all over, but you want to do one-to-ones and things like that. There's good money in it, but I just found it hard to commit to it, guys.
Because you've got a massive fan base
with
work
and all that. Honestly, I think like if you've done a Facebook post saying available for one-to-ones,
they fucking jump at it. I know they would, man. Experience, but you know,
he has it.
I've been there, done it. Like, you know,
there's lots of guys.
Could you go to work all day till 5 p.m?
No.
Could you go to the gym
then?
And then fucking train?
No, of course not.
It'd have to be give up work and commit to it, yeah. But would I get the punters then? Would I get the punters who's all or nothing like me? Because that's what I would expect.
But let me tell you what you will pick up.
If I say be in the gym 5 o'clock, I want them outside 4:30 warming up.
But what I say to you is, there's also a market for you, that there's guys out there, and he does it to some extent, They've got no intention of fighting. But love that kudos of doing a one-to-one with you. I won't name names, right? But he's an high-profile jiu-jitsu instructor in London, and I went down and trained just before Christmas, and he got paid. How much do you think he got paid for an hour one-to-one? £800.
Fucking hell.
Right?
And this is knowledge, guy, this is priceless.
Don't wrong. I won't name his name, but he's like arguably one of the greatest of all time. But he doesn't want to do one-to-one, so he goes, it's £800. Well, then you've got your local multi-millionaire businessman who wants to have that saying, down the pub on the weekend, I train with, and you'd have the same, I train with George on the weekend, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I thought about it.
And it's a market, even if that, right, you dedicated 3 evenings where you say, I'll do 2 one-to-ones on the evening. It's good for you mentally as well.
Definitely,
you know?
I would love
and
to.
If you want to hand, like, on social media setting that up, I'll point you in the right direction to get that going for you.
Yeah, I'll always keep it in mind, Shake. I weigh out the pros and cons and that, but like I said, I do expect them to be committed as I am, and but once like COVID come around then, and then shut the gyms down and then financially again, and
I don't think anyone have recovered properly yet from COVID.
No, we're still paying the price for it now, aren't we? But you know, the price of living and all that, but they all took these grants now, 10 grand, 10 grand, they were all paying that back now. But
what we say at the time, I said,
someone's going to have to pay for
someone's going to have to pay this back. They chuck 10s and 20s left in the centre of people.
It fucking kills me about going shopping every week, like trying to feed my family now. I had to pick stuff up and it's fucking downsized and fucking the price of
100%.
But I just fucking put it back, like, and I'm like, what?
Well, biggest one with me, bag of crisps.
Yeah.
A bag of crisps half the size, 3 times the price.
I know. It's unbelievable. Everything.
You do a food shop now in Tesco. You'll have 2 bags for life. It'll be 80 quid. Depending on who you buy it.
It's a $1 a week minimum.
You can see.
I like family of 5.
Oh, I bet.
I know there's like the alpha epidemic at the minute where everyone's trying to eat healthy and beefy. But I can see why. I can generally see why.
That's more expensive.
I can see why people who haven't got the money to spare don't eat healthy, because you know you're doing a fresh food shop. You're talking £100 for stuff that's going to last 4 days.
Here's an example, right? You can go and I watched a documentary on these pre-made meals. So you can go in Iceland, have a shitty lasagna or curry and rice for £1, right?
I fucking love them fucking Iceland lasagnas for £1, Shake. But
you know if you're in fight camp and you got then the My Protein curry and rice, which is £4 a pack. What are you going to go for?
You're going to go for the lasagna now.
Every time. So they're even making it difficult for you to eat healthy.
Definitely.
They're pricing you out to eat
It's
healthy.
easier and cheaper just to eat chunking out. That's what they want us to do, don't they?
They want us in a bad way.
Yeah, they do. It's a bigger agenda to it, isn't it?
You got to think of the NHS and the health and that. People getting ill and that from it, and the COVID jabs, guys. I didn't have one COVID jab, like, you know, and it's like so much controversial about it. People falling ill and that now, like, you know. Abby was pregnant at the time. I was in fight camp. People around me claiming they had it and that, but I didn't catch it once. I had to have the what's the test we had to have.
Do you
know what? Have them to attend the shows and all that. I did.
We can say it now because we're using on it. We didn't miss a day's training. We had boys coming over from Merthyr, Swansea, Cardiff.
Me and Giffy, but I fought on the lockdown. I did
5 days a week. We had the police turn up one day, didn't they? But they come too late. I had 30
You would have got done for that, would you?
Oh, yeah. Big money and all.
10 grand.
They've turned up. They've gone, we've had a report. There's people training. And for me as well, I'm thinking, it's got to come from the shops next door.
Yeah.
What am I? We ain't bothering.
Yeah, I know.
For me, I'm like,
jealousy
living my life. As long as we're impacting everybody. But she turned up. It was only me there, and she goes, we've heard there's people training. I said, they bitter? I said, it's me and my son been training. Yeah. I said, we both live together. We can do it. I said, I've seen how I've been mopping up and that. Sorry, trouble. We didn't have no bother again. But I could have gone.
Yeah,
I'll say something.
You shut your gym down. You were a nice 10,000
I seen this online. It's quite controversial, right? And might get a bit of slack for this, but it's very true. You know, whenever you speak to people about the Holocaust, right? What do people say? I wouldn't have fucking stood for that. No way I would have followed Hitler's thing. I wouldn't have grassed the Jews up where they were.
Yeah.
You know, in COVID, how quickly were people grassing up their neighbours for visiting their nan or visiting their auntie or visiting their grandfather? They grassed us straight away. So that's because we were, well, not all of us, but we were brainwashed to believe that if they're doing that, they're putting people's lives in danger, or they're doing wrong. Just like how back then,
brainwashed, but
and not I'm comparing the two, but they were also brainwashed that the Jews are bad, and if there's Jews living, they grass them up, they gotta be thing. It's very, it's done.
What you see or believe, read you believe, don't it? Social media.
It doesn't take a lot. It doesn't take a lot to convince people to a certain way, and especially with social media, it's even worse.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I can remember
they're all queuing up for the 6th jab now, aren't they?
I ain't afraid to say it, right? Me and him got forced in. We had no choice, right? I had to have my jabs. We couldn't fight. The UFC and the UFC
That's understandable.
They didn't force you into it, did they? They said, "Look,
can't fight."
They said,
"That's your job, isn't it?" At the end of the day,
you can't. We're not telling you gotta have the jab, but if you know, it's only gonna be Fight Island once a year. we're doing shows in America. They're not going to let you in America unless you had a jab.
Yeah.
So we had our first 2 jabs, didn't we? I caught COVID before I had the jab, didn't I? And I was very rough, so I got asthma. But I was all right and the thing was, if you catch it and you got asthma, you're fucked on death's door. He'd had 2 jabs, caught it, and was worse than what I was. But before
I think it was because it was in my, they're giving me.
Yeah.
And, you know, we all know I've been ill and I had treatment and all the rest of it. So I'm on what's classed, even now at the moment, the vulnerable list.
Yeah, yeah.
And they're ringing me, you need this food. And I just say, take me off the list. And they've took me off now. I said, well, you might end up dying. I say, well, I've been all right since.
Yeah, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm one of these. I'll pick up the bad flu or bad chest infection maybe once a year, and then I'm good for like 7-8 months.
Well, that's annually, innit? It's that time of year. People are going to pick it up, innit?
But yeah, we were badgered into it. I'll be honest, I wouldn't have took it if it wasn't for the fact that he had to earn a living.
Yeah.
I just wouldn't have gone.
I remember Katie being pregnant, and this was 2023, so you're talking like 3 years removed from it. I remember being over for the 20-week scan, and like even the nurses then are still brainwashed. They said, have I had your COVID jab?
I know.
And she said, yeah, I have had it, because she had to have it at the time to work. Oh, good girl.
Yeah.
Have I had your booster? She said, no. Why not? She said, well, because last time I had the jab, it made me ill, and if I have the booster, I'm going to be, I can't go to work, and I need the money. Oh, well, I know they're trying to simple and like, well, it doesn't actually make you ill. It just makes you feel ill. And she's like, well, regardless if I'm ill or if I feel ill, I can't go to work. And that's 3 years removed from it, mate. And they're still pushing it on it.
Well, I got a friend who's works for the ambulance service, so they've got they it's different now, but beginning days you had that.
Yeah.
He's had COVID 7 times.
Even though you've had the jab, like.
I've had 5 jabs. So I keep saying, why are you taking it? Yeah. When are you catching it?
I know.
I've had it once. And it was after the jabs.
They're
well, it's just a man-made thing in a lab, wasn't it? Straight away.
They've paid that much money as well. Like that much money being given to the pharmaceutical companies for the jab. Now people don't want it. They know they're going to lose billions.
Tactics, but isn't it?
This is how insane it was, right? We go out for our Jack have a fight, and we do the weigh-ins, and him and his opponent got to wear a mask, and then 24 hours later they're bleeding and spitting all over.
Yeah, I know. It's mad, isn't it?
And
it don't make sense. I know.
It made 0 sense.
I know.
Right.
We just all followed suit though, didn't we?
Yeah.
They said jump and we said how high.
We got on one plane, they sold every other seat. And then when we caught the connecting flight,
it was like a cattle.
It was like a cattle. Like, it was like this, wasn't it?
Yeah, you have your mask on.
Don't make sense.
You know what cracked me up on the best part? We flew
wipe your arse in that
we flew out to Dallas, and it was probably was it a 500-seater plane? There was probably 100 people on it. There was no one on there. You had to wear a mask. You could take your mask off to have your food. So when you eat your food, you could take your mask off. But then you have to put your mask on straight. So I'm like, well, so the COVID can't get me whilst I'm eating my food. But then
you go in a restaurant, you would sit down at the table, eat your food. If you've got to go to the toilet, put your mask on.
Even the same in the bubble in the UFC, right? You'll be in the hotel.
They just made it up and say, well, the wrong guys, didn't they?
100%.
To enter our hotel, you all have to have a negative test. Yet, you know when you're in the hotel, you had to have your own private training room and you had to wear a mask about the hotel. It's like,
me and Giffy fought on the lockdown. We had to do it. We had to quarantine and that, but we wasn't allowed to fucking leave the room and that. We had no contact with anybody, but
it's crazy.
We fought then and we spit blood on each other.
Yeah, it's madness.
You hit the nail on the head. It's like, they said jump, we said how high.
So it is.
You know what I mean?
It's a control thing in it, but depopulation in my eyes. But there's so much conspiracy theories about it now. We all got our own opinion on it.
You know, in like 50 years, I think they'll like talk about that time ago.
Yeah, they can't cure cancer, but they can cure COVID in a couple of months, like a man-made fucking in a lab.
And what's scary, right? I don't like consider myself a conspiracy theorist at all, but a lot of the conspiracies that were getting sent about the time, like, I'm off your head. You know, now 5 years removed from it.
Yeah.
How many of them have come through?
I know.
You know what I mean?
But if you had the first job, why have the second or third? If the first one didn't work, the second one ain't going to work, third one ain't going to work.
But it's crazy.
You got young, healthy people dying of like heart attacks and blood clots and that. They're all saying it's the
biggest
COVID.
word for it is contradiction, because there's so many contradictory. Like, here's an example in the school that I worked, right? This is insane, back, right? So when the school opened back up, year 7, year 8, year 9, year 10, year 11, all had to be separate parts of the building. Couldn't be, so breaks were different, lunch was different, whatever. When they, on school site, all had to wear masks. Great. But 5 double-decker buses would pull up in the morning, full of kids with no masks on, all intermingling with each other, from different year groups, from year 7 to year 11, then the minute they come out, we separated. Pointless. So how are they catching on the bus?
I know.
Honestly,
look at it. It just
you know what used to crack me up?
Just up and left end, didn't it? Like
and then it just disappeared all of a sudden.
What used to crack me up is the pubs were open, but only till 10 o'clock.
Yeah.
Like,
you can have a pint as long as you're eating food.
Isn't it funny?
No, you could be in the pub and drink, but you had to be sat down and you had to leave at 10.
But they also put a rule in there where as long as you had a roll in your hand, you could have a beer.
Yeah.
Crazy.
But you had to have food. So pubs started doing rolls and soup just so they could serve
I can remember being up the bridge end at Bleary after one of the fights, and it was like 10 o'clock, and I was like, right, everyone got to leave now because of curfew. And you're like, well, it's more rampant. It's in between 10 and 4 in the afternoon.
They must come out with this fucking shit.
One last one to finish up, but obviously you've been fighting all your life. It's a bit of a family affair now. Obviously, Abby's in the gym doing the
Avie as well. Avie's doing well, man. I always said, but if it was going to be one of them, it was going to be Ayla's doing well in her drama. Don't get me wrong, but Avie, she had the bug from the start.
Talk us a bit about that. How did it just start as like tucking down nails?
No,
always on.
Obviously they both down Giffy's gym on a Tuesday and Thursday, both doing the tie. They sort of steered away from it. Avie went into the football, and she did. Yeah. She was the only girl on the team, but with the Bluebirds, And she gets
all the kids are afraid. All their families.
They would.
Do not tackle that girl.
No,
I don't.
They was all afraid of her. She'd go in there, but she'd kick the fuck out of them, and she would. But they all praised her up, and then she started the jiu-jitsu. Then she did. So she just said, "I want to be a fighter." She gave up the football. Then she got jiu-jitsu Monday, Thai Tuesday, jiu-jitsu Wednesday, Thai Thursday, Saturday morning. She got the Thai and then the MMA class. So she just done her first comp, and she. Last week or the
took
week
a goal,
before.
I think. I seen
she had a gold and a bronze. She did fair play.
She got into the club this weekend as well.
And she got into the club. I just went, and where am I now this week? I got Bristol.
Bristol
this Sunday.
How did you feel?
Oh, I'm over the moon shaking.
No, are you nervous? So I mean,
I ain't. But to be honest, I'm alright about it, man. It's up to her now. I don't.
Do you worry? Not worry, but do you worry that because it is back in the day, was it now for a woman is a very real career choice.
Yeah, definitely.
I would say it's probably more likely for a woman from.
Yeah,
because the women
got more chance
to
get noticed. Fair play.
So do you worry that it might be a case of in a couple of years she is an MMA fighter? She wants to go pro.
I'd rather do it, but just for the discipline alone, guys. I always said I'd advise anybody to get their kids into martial arts for the discipline alone, the self-respect, the respect of others. You'll meet good people. You touched on it last night. The good people in the gym and they'll steal from the street. And only the bullies will fucking leave you alone.
Grows you as a person.
It's something I should have done when I was a kid, but but that's what made me. But when I did go into the martial arts, but I got the bullies licking my fucking ass now.
I say it's 99% positive, 1% negative. And the thing is, you can get injured riding a bike. We all say, I don't want to go in there fighting. Well, you can be riding on a bike, car on a corner, boom, it's all over. It's done. And all our kids
tomorrow's never promised, but
I know boys who've had career.
One life, live it.
I know boys who've had career and injuries in football and rugby. It's no different, is it?
Well, that's why the thing with the fighting guys, I'll always think about it. I'll always have itchy knuckles. I'll always want to go back in there, because I think there's one life, live it. When I'm older, I might regret it, but on the other hand, then I got to think of my kids and my health and
You never know. You might. You might be the full-time coach, full-time cornerman to the
I do, man. I do my best. Obviously, I learned a bit all back in the day, and I got a few tricks up my sleeve for her now. But I'm just sat there eating my food, and I got a fucking rear naked chop.
I just see on Facebook on
just when Abby,
on Abby's story,
she be chops down the line. Your hands are no good, darling. Just gonna take you
down. I see on Abby's story and stuff on Facebook, 1 minute they'll all be out having dinner, and the next minute him and Evie doing pads in the living room, and then she's shooting double leg.
The nightmare in my house, guys. Let me tell you, our typical date night is me and Abby sparring in the living room or something. Or Ayla and Evie, the contact, the start to do better, and then it gets a bit more physical, and then they fucking fight then, and it's a nightmare. But in my house, by all them females, all them emotions and problems, none of them are the same.
You're very much outnumbered.
How old's the youngest one?
She'll be 3 now with me. So she's going through the terrible twos at the moment, just into everything, climbing, everything.
What's your instincts? Do you think she's going to be like Evie or?
I don't know, but I couldn't say, man. I'm a bit young a minute.
Let me tell you, we've got 3 girls. We always have a joke about this, Jack, with my daughter. Can you imagine the conversations as they get older and boys going, I fancy, but I'm not really going to go and ask her out. You know what I mean?
I do it all the time. Evie's a bugger for the boys at the moment. Ayla got a little boyfriend. She's pretty quiet, but Evie, I can hear her upstairs.
Well, imagine coming
over me out of 10 and I she got one boyfriend and then she got another boyfriend. I'm with him now. I fancy him.
Can you imagine when she do get a boyfriend when she's older and the boyfriend's there who's the father? Sean George.
It's not a lot you can do, really, but You just got to try and guide them back.
Got to guide them, but like
as long as she's honest, but and picks up with someone decent.
Well, we were lucky.
Also, don't put their fucking hands on her, but
and that's why I was always fearful. Like, fortunately, our Alice have moved in and is living with her first boyfriend pretty much in this, and they're head over heels in love. And he, like, if I could have gone out and picked somebody for her, he ticks every box I would want. But my biggest fear was like she pick up with some arsehole, as you said, who makes a mistake, and then I am going to jail. I'm doing 15 years.
It's me parking my fucking car in the cunt's living room. Let me tell you about, or jumping fucking through the living room window, wrapped in carpet Christmas Day, but so that's the fucking who I am, like, them girls in my world, but
I can see that
exactly, and that's how it should be. It should be that, and I think again, we'll go back to it. I think one of the biggest turnarounds for you was having them kids, because
it was.
You're all respect, and I used to say this to him. I can't explain to you what fatherhood is like.
No.
There's nothing I can say.
You got your mother, you got your missus and that, but that daughter love is fucking unbelievable. But it's like a love I didn't know existed. But Ayla, the oldest, I don't like to say she's my favourite out of three, but she got me wrapped around her finger. But even when I'm right, I'm wrong. She has a go at me and her shake, and that really affects me. But I got to go licking arse on her. I got to go licking her arse now. She had a go at me yesterday morning, but because I said something to her, I had to fucking soften her up. And last time a £4, like, even though she didn't deserve it, it wasn't my fault. I still had to sweeten her. Like,
and it is worse with girls, because I think as men and fight them men, all three of us, we all like, we'll teach the boys to look after themselves, but you're always conscious of the girl. But like you've experienced it. You've had this little boy, and I used to say to him, I can't tell you how we're going to feel. And I remember having a conversation with her, saying, Dad, until I've had this baby of mine, I was like, what's he on about? But it's just a different love. It's a different and a different perspective on life. I remember having him. We was young when we had you. And like straight away, I end up with 3 jobs, because like we were struggling to make ends meet. And I was like, well, I got to make sure you do have everything you want.
Yeah, you do, don't you? Everything that you didn't have, like that was my goal. But I hate saying no to my kids this day and age. But they'd ask for this and that, and I'm saying no at the moment because like it's tough financially. My job just pays the bills or whatever. But man, I just wanted to give them everything that I never had. Like just to put that roof over their head, a bit of security. Like we're not private renting. It's not dead money, but every brick, every month we're buying it. Like it's our house, and it's in the area where I grew up and that. But going back to my dad, Shake, like he's my hero, man. For him to see me evolve from who I was to who I am, he never thought I'd have kids, but that's all he heard about me was negative. Your boy's gonna kill someone in his car. He's gonna kill himself. No, your boy, Sean. Police knocking at the door all the time, bailiffs coming to the house and that. But to see me now, like with my kids and my house.
And one thing about your dad, you've stuck through your thick.
I was right or wrong, Shake, but he'd been there. My dad is my hero, but I'll never be half the gentleman my dad is.
People are talking to him about it.
That's all he is. Your guy, champion, fucking role model, Hall of Famer, fucking all this and that. When's his next fight? Blah blah blah. Like and he thrives off that, and he loves them kids. But he do like and
I'll speak from a grandfather's perspective. I know what your dad is saying is like, I won't say you love him more, but it's like
you can say it, man.
It is. It's like I look at old Fraser, and I can't like. My guts is turning, my heart is in my mouth.
Get butterflies and
just by looking at it,
the joy, like fair
and
play.
You do something, and I think, it don't matter what you do, man. It don't matter, you know what I mean? It's a funny old thing. And what's nice about it is that hopefully this will show people. Like there is a softer side to you.
Oh, definitely, but I am just rough and tough, but I ain't afraid to talk about my mental health and that. People see me as a bare knuckle fighting champion. I fucking cry and that. I addressed the show down in Cardiff, but I took advantage of my position, but I jumped in that ring when we lost Dan, and I addressed our crowd, but I'm rough and tough and that, but I show weakness and that. I suffer. I cry often, but I still do now. My dog, friends I've lost and that, but
I'm terrible for fucking crying, I am, but and whether it's an happy situation or and probably a little bit more ardent around upsetting situations. Like when he won his UFC debut, I'm crying.
It's emotional, isn't it? It's emotional.
But like
I'll go full out with my daughters with Avie now achievements and that.
Probably more the negatives than what I do.
I don't watch Ayla perform. She performed in front of thousands in the O2 and I know I do get I don't show it as much but I do appreciate my own little ways but as they get older I probably will shed a tear over them
Oh, for sure, but
it's all family but like I said, man, I'm always on the end of the phone for people suffering and that, but I'm always there for a chat 24/7. I have my days, don't get me wrong.
Let's finish off with a little bit of advice for anybody looking to go down the route of BKB and being successful. What advice would you give them?
Also anyone who's like you was on a bit of a negative path.
Yeah, definitely. But you just
got
to shift the bad habits and all the negative people that come with it. You know, I had to get myself from it and everyone, and you just got to carry yourself well. But I don't know, and just be the best person who can be. Like,
you are your environment, I think.
I think what you said here as well. I think the most difficult challenge for people is to remove them from that.
Yeah, it is. But walking away from your friends, I mean, they're all still doing the same thing. With the fucking cocaine is fucking everywhere. But I don't even fucking interest me. But I haven't done it for fucking years and years now. But it don't even interest me.
And it's so socially acceptable
towards the end. But I had a better buzz waiting for the shit to show up. But
yeah.
But then it's all downhill then. But so I
pat
myself on the back for that. But
and
I
I'm going to ask you
clean.
this. I've always said this. I remember having my first competitive match, and it was a jiu-jitsu match, not the MMA. And the buzz I had from
the buzz.
it. It's
surreal, isn't it? It's priceless.
It was a shitty jiu-jitsu tournament in a workman's club. And I remember going up there, my stomach mouth terrified,
butterflies,
right? And then winning it. I'm thinking, I want to do that again.
Yeah.
And I don't think there's a drug in the world can reach you to them eyes. What a fight.
Not even sex, but let me tell you.
I always say it's the fighting is the best and the worst experience in the world.
Because you've got the big build up to it, like I said earlier, the preparation, the weight cut, all the training, the sacrifice, blood, sweat, tears. You get in that ring, and that's the easy part then. And then you get out and you've left it all in the ring. And you go home, you press a reset button, and you go again. But
and I've always said this, I could always walk away from a loss as long as I thought I couldn't have done no more.
Yeah,
I could live with
that. I did as well, but all my losses, some being controversial, but I knew I did everything I possibly could. Like,
I had the same. I almost obviously have the devastation, don't anyone lose, but I always had the same relief after a loss that I had after a win.
Yeah.
Like after a win, you think, yes, it's done.
Yeah.
It's fucking over for a couple of weeks. And I had the exact same feeling after every one of my losses because it was exactly the same. It was never lost because I, like you said, didn't train.
Yeah, but
didn't
you wouldn't have lost, you learn. That's why I always say to people, my biggest priority was getting home to my kids safe, but win or lose, but as long as I got home to them via McDonald's, but I was happy. Let me tell you.
And no matter what the result is, you'll always be your kid's hero.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Let me just say on this now, if anybody watching, I got a link to get Sean a sponsorship with McDonald's.
I think
Greg's.
Yeah, no, cheese on it.
You've sold your companies well today, but
some cheese on it, aye.
Let's finish on that. Where was the first time you said, because that's become notorious.
I know.
It's become like
I know. I had a few one-liners tonight. So it was the second fight with Eric Olsen. Eric Olsen now, right? We was all right going into that first fight. I don't know what happened with the timekeeper, but the third round got cut short by a minute or so, yeah? So he started blowing up over that. They made the rematch. Obviously, I went into that frustrated. I beat him again, and I was having the interview after with Tom, and he said, "Oh, sure, you got a few marks or something." And I says, "All right, but I'll eat them all day. Put some cheese on the next ones."
I always remember that when it'd be like he'd be like McDonald's, be like put some extra cheese in.
Cheese on it, do you know what? Like. It was that one liner there.
Yeah,
that
some cheese
like
on it.
Me and him have been in the gym training, and I go, stick some fucking cheese on it. You know what
I mean? Lots of people have said the same shit. I know.
I'd watch the bars. We're watching the boys' bars sometimes, and like a good shot line. We go plenty of cheese on that.
Some cheese on that, right?
So all day. In like 100 years now, when we're all dead, they'll go on Wikipedia and they'll like type in where did the phrase put some cheese on it. Say,
come back to Sean George.
Some crazy bare-knuckle boxer, some crazy bare-knuckle boxer from that lady.
That'll be on his gravestone. Sean George, BKB champion, put some cheese on.
Yeah, all I can do, guys, but to stand you're proud. You know, I've grown with the sport from what it was premature to what it is now. Like now, and I got my legacy and all that. Something you couldn't take away. Like it's priceless and. Yeah, I'm happy. Like,
and legacy lives beyond yourself.
Yes.
Remember that.
You should
it's getting massive now, guys, and it's everywhere. But you know, you've got the BKFC, you've got the BYB.
Look at Muhammad Ali, been dead years, but his legacy will live forever.
Even all these small shows, but got like hybrid boxing or one bare knuckle on there, like, you know,
definitely.
Some end as big as the BKB, like it's still a bit smaller, but
one of the pioneers for sure, wasn't he?
Yes, like I say, I laid the path, but then I sort of did back in the day shit with the MMA. I was like one of the first active around here alongside Joe Duffy, Brad One Punch Pickett, yourself. Like when obviously I went off the rails now, but I sort of done the same now with the BKB, the likes of Mr. Pink and Marshman, you know.
Again, yourself, me, and Joe Duffy all fought on the same card, which a lot of people don't realise.
Yeah, I know.
Because like the the databases are not there no more. There's only videos
and another thing, not that I want any credit for it, like, but like Jack Marshman, he started with me, so we used to book the dance out at the leisure centre. It was £10 for an hour. We'd get in there early, we'd leave there late, we'd pull all the mats out, because I had a bit of experience, I was known a bit. It was me, Jack, little Chris as well was another one. We'd all go in there and do a bit and that, and obviously like I went off the rails and he stayed with you, then him and Ryan, didn't they? Like I said, I don't want no credit for it, but just to watch Jack evolve from all he was, he'd come in here on a Sunday morning still pissed up from the night before. He beat that copper and that up.
I'm shocked at that. That surprised me.
But, just to watch Jack evolve from who he was to who he is now, like, you know, and I can relate to what he's been through and that, like mentally and that, but and like physically he suffered and that, haven't he, man? But you know, he's still stood there now, strong, throwing down. But you know, I ain't heard no bell, but neither of he. Like,
I think between your podcast and Jack's, I think it also opens a lot of people's eyes that it's not all glitz and glamour.
No, but some can relate to it, but we're all suffering one way or another.
I say in that documentary we done for you,
we've all loved and lost in our guys, you know.
And all people ever see is the 15 minutes in the cage.
Yeah, they do.
What they don't see is the work.
It's nice for people to see the bigger picture.
These last two podcasts, like this is yours part 2 and Jack's part 2, and you know, it's been totally different to the part ones. Again, I think yours and Jack's are the 2 most views, and now it's been about your background, your story. These two have been a totally different spin. But I think
about mental health and that, it's so common in this day and age. And like I said, I can relate to it. People can relate to what I'm talking about today. And like I said, they can reach out any time or day. But
and I think they probably through the most inspiring podcast, because they can show you can be at the lowest of the lows.
Listen, guys, man, we are our own worst enemies. But the only fucker that can break me is me. But let me tell you, so the only one that can get me out of this mess I'm sort of in is me. Like, you know.
And it will come back.
Day by day, shake. But like I said, I just need to get back in that gym and do a bit. Just a bit of structure and routine again, and a bit of release. Like,
are we going to see a Sean George book?
I think we need to.
I think honestly, it's something you should consider.
Yeah, I know.
Because,
well, like on the all my life or just
right,
the BK.
I
thought about it.
Because
I got a mate. He just come out of prison. He knows me in general, and he's fucking wicked with his fucking. You just see his statuses. Fucking how long, man. He knows me in general. Stuff I can't think about.